Sabbath day to keep it holy.
So, just like ever since the course began, we're going to begin with a 5-minute summary of the previous week. So before I begin, to anyone who was here last week that wants to give a 30-second recap? 30 seconds. Who was here last week? Okay, who that was here last week wants to give a 30-second recap? Very quick recap.
Yeah.
What? I'm doing that. Come on, new people. Nobody?
Huey wants to do it.
Well, I don't know. Not one person.
You can't see her hand. She's really.
Alright, Miss Rosie.
No.
Not you just raise your hand. What you mean?
I did not.
Alright, I'm gonna just go straight into it then. So the first thing that we came across in last week's lesson was the 3 types of names. Does anyone remember the 3 names by chance? Just shout them out.
Give it name.
Okay, that's one.
Promotional.
Okay, that's 2.
And natural name.
And natural names, good. So given names, the ones that were given at birth. Promotional names are names like doctor, manager, assis, diakon. And then there are natural names. So natural names, as we talked about last week, are names that describe the nature of something. So when we call God in Good Israel and Armenia, we say Ixihabihir. And as we've learned, what does Ixihabihir mean? King of the land. And that's supposed to describe his nature. Also, we learned in Hebrew his name is Elohim, which means the triune God, which is also supposed to represent how he's 1 in 3, 3 in 1. There's other names that we give him. One of the names that we talked about was El Shaddai, and El Shaddai means Almighty God. And also, this allows us to think about, the names that we give each other, the names that we give our kids in the future, and the names that are passed down to us. What do they mean, and do we live up to them? That was actually our assignment from last week. So, I hope there was a reflection done on that. Also, the name of God itself has power. And we discussed 3 examples. One of the examples was King David, David versus Goliath. When Goliath was insulting God, David got mad because he was insulting the name of God. And David came up to Goliath and said, "You come with swords, spears, and javelins, but I come to you in the name of God." Because the name of God itself has power. And as we learned last week, we cannot separate God from his name. Because his name is him. You can't separate the two. When we call on his name, sometimes we don't act on it. When he arrives and his presence is activated, his power is activated, sometimes we don't act on it. And when we don't act on it, we don't give use to calling his name. And as we learned last week, there's a word called vain. And what does vain mean? Does anyone remember?
Useless.
Useless. When we don't give use to calling his name, that is what in vain means. And when you call the power of God the Almighty and you don't act on it, you're not giving use to it. You're speaking in vain. And that was one of the commandments, to not speak of his name in vain. The next thing we talked about was the 3 stages of sins. Does anyone remember?
The never sins.
The never sins. What's the other one?
Yeah. The
The avoidable sins.
The okay sins.
The okay sins. So the never sins are the sins that we feel like we're not even tempted to do, like killing someone or rape, like horrific things that we never see ourselves doing. There's the avoidable sins that we assume we can just put to the sides, like like sexual desires, or like abuse of any sort that we just put to the side. And then there's the ones that we say like it's okay, like profanity, the ones that we don't even look at as sins. And oftentimes we label them in these 3 categories, when one is the less severe, one is the most severe. And it's okay sins are the ones that we don't even really consider severe because we consider them okay. But as we learned last week, this could actually become one of the most harmful ones, because our attitude towards the it's okay sins are not the attitude that God wants to see. As we learned last week, God doesn't just care about your actions, but your attitude towards your actions. As we learned, St. Paul was a murderer, and David raped a girl. These are horrific things. We don't think about murder. We don't think about rape. These people committed it, but after they did it, they felt extremely sorry. They were like, I don't even deserve anything. And God looked at their hearts. He looked at their attitude towards the action, and then he changed them. Saul came Paul, and David, God blessed him and did all the miraculous things in the Bible to show that he looks at the attitude. Also, when God comes and you call on his name, don't be surprised. You should wait for that to happen. When your life is going to change as God comes closer into your life. If your life is changing and it's starting to become like drastically different, and we do the things that you used to do and you don't feel the same, that is a sign that God is changing your life. Be aware of that and be conscious of that. And also, when you call on His name, know that you are calling the power of God. So don't worry when you pray, and when you call on His name, and when you pray for the things that you pray for, don't worry anymore, because that is the power of God, is just to change the things that you are praying for. So don't be scared on calling His name. And also, most importantly, when you call His name, when we pray, be aware that you are in the presence of God. When we come to Gadasi, to liturgy on Sundays, you are in the presence of God. And I'm going to leave you guys off with the example that we left off last week, which was there was this one old man who's always at church, and then when he dies, and then when this guardian angel is talking, the other angels ask, "Where did you find him?" And then the guardian angel pridefully says, "I found him with Christ," because he went to the church all the time, because that's where he wanted to be found. So let's be conscious of how we use God's name, and be conscious about His presence and being in His presence. Thank you.
I wish somebody was sitting there.
So last week reviews is I need a volunteer. I need a volunteer.
Who else wants to volunteer?
I need a volunteer.
For what?
I'll pick on people.
You gonna pick?
You with the red haircut in the back. Can you
All
read
of us
us?
looked at it, but it's like
Everybody come back and start.
Which one?
It's right there on the it's on the
I like mine.
no. We're already gonna stick with this one.
Remember to observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath day of rest dedicated to the Lord of your God. On that day, no one in your household may do any work. This includes you, your sons and daughters, your male and female servants, your livestock, and any foreigners living among you. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and everything in them. But on the seventh day He rested. That is why the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart as holy.
Okay. Which commandment are we on?
Third.
Someone knows.
Which commandment are we on?
Third.
Which?
Third.
Third one. Very good. So, what's the third commandment?
Go to
Honor the
church.
Sabbath.
What's the third commandment?
Honor the
Honor the Sabbath. Honor the Sabbath. How do you honor the Sabbath? Yeah.
Going to church every day.
Going to church? This guy. We're actually going to talk about that. What else?
Don't do work.
Huh?
Don't do work.
Don't do work. What else?
Sleep.
Sleep.
Wash clothes.
What's the third command? It's about resting, right? Like rest, your physical rest, and spiritual rest. Did anyone look at your notes? This commandment is about working. Listen, you guys with me? Most of the time when we think about this commandment, we start off by saying, rest the Sabbath, rest is Jesus' day. No, this commandment has two parts. The first, 6 out of the 7, days, we're commanded to work. You can't begin by talking about resting until you finish working. God is very serious about how He wants us to be presented in this world. There's this misconception that Christianity or God only cares about you coming to church and praying. That's not it. God demands that you go to school, God demands that you work and you work hard, and God demands that you seek money. You think about like, oh, money is like evil. This is what? No, that's not what it is about. There's a wise way of handling things. And there's an unwise way of handling things. This commandment is a commandment that begins by telling you you gotta work and you gotta work hard. Yes. I apologize. So we can't really, and we'll see how, we can't really begin to like understand this commandment until we begin to work hard and work really, really hard. So God began by doing what? Did he begin by resting? He began by working. He worked 6 consecutive days, no rest. Right? He began like, you know how hard it is? We talk about like, you know what's very physically demanding type of job? Welcome, welcome. Anytime you see me, welcome. Oh, there's 3 of them. Do we have? I'm sorry. What was I saying? God worked 6 consecutive days. You know how hard it is? Like, if you guys ever, where's Avi? Avi's not here. He's a farmer. You guys know that, right? Avi is a farmer, right? So, like, you can ask him. It's physically demanding. Like, in the sun, you walk around. He's like barefoot and everything. Y'all know him, right? So, Avi is a real farmer. So, like, it's like physically demanding. You talk about farming is demanding. Think about like creating this universe. Like how demanding that is, right? It's hard labor. Now, when I'm talking about hard, mind you, these are words that are given to human beings in order for us to understand like what it mean, what God went through. So he worked. God worked for 6 days and rested on the 7th. He didn't rest for 6 days and rested on the 7th day as well. He didn't take a break in the middle and say, I don't feel like it today. Those 6 days are meant for you to get out and work hard. We're not given the option of like kind of sitting down and saying, you know what, I'm not in the mood today. We're not given that option. As Christians, we got to work hard and harder than everybody else. In the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 19, when Adam was kicked out, he was told, by the sweat of your brow, you will eat your food until you return to the ground. Like from now on, once you leave the kingdom of heaven, you will work and you will work hard. This is the only way you're going to eat. You can't eat unless you work. You're expected to work. It's not like, especially when you're young, we think like there's this thing of like, all right, like Christianity, like church, Bible and stuff like that, and we put our schoolwork away, we put work away, we put everything away thinking some form of spirituality. That's not spirituality. We're commanded. Just as much as like we're expected to come to church on Sunday and worship God, we're expected to work throughout the 6 days. Whenever I'm not working one of the 6 days, I'm breaking a commandment. I'm breaking a commandment. Because most of the time we like, whenever you skip Sunday, you know, like, you're skipping Sunday. Like, there's something there, right? What about you spend like a Tuesday afternoon sleeping? You're breaking commandment. You're breaking commandment. Because that's a day to work. It's not a day to rest. We're given that day. We have a day to rest. But Wednesday afternoons, when we just like, and just like do nothing, you're breaking commandment. We did a couple of times actually. We had like several, what do you want to call them, workshops, different type of like classes or courses, whatever you want to call it, to let us to like kind of expose how much time we waste. You guys remember? Like we wrote down like the things we want to accomplish in life, and then we broke it up into like how we spend each and every single like hour. Remember we did that once? Right? And when you do that, for those of you guys who weren't there, you'll see there's like blocks of time on like random days where you can't account for it, right? So like there's 24 hours, 8 hours is like to sleep, 8 hours is to go to work for most people. And then you have like 8 hours, right? And then you're like, you start counting like, wait a minute, like what happened to the 8 hours? You're like, okay, 1 hour to like to commute. And then you have 7 more hours. Okay, like Okay, 2 hours for TV, and then you still have like what 5 more hours. You're like, wait, like where did it go? Literally, you're doing nothing. Think about how much time we waste. This is important. This is important because come Sunday, think about all the excuses we give for not coming to church. Think about that. Because you can't really talk about Sunday until you talk about the 6 days and how you spent them. That's the problem. You can't really enjoy the rest that's coming on Sunday until you work. It's like if you've been running around all day on your feet, and then like, think about it, like you've been on your feet all day long, whatever, you sit down and you're like, you know that feeling like, right? Versus if you were sitting home, welcome. What's your name? Take a note. I haven't seen you ever. What was I saying?
6 work.
6 work?
You're saying if you take a rest on the 6th.
Can't work. Yeah, you can't enjoy. So imagine like you've been sitting down. You ever sat down for like an entire day? Like how boring is that, right? And then like if you got up to get something and you sat back down, would you get the same like as if like you worked all day and right the moment that you sit down? Is it the same? Is it the same effect? No. In fact, if you've been sitting down all day, the last thing you want to do is sit down more, right? You want to walk around, whatever. Like, let me stretch my legs, right? Because you don't want to do that. But if you've been like running around, if you've been exhausted, if you've been tired, and the second you sit down, you get it relaxed. You like feel it. It's the same thing. You can't enjoy Sunday if you haven't been working on Saturday or like throughout the week, right? You can't enjoy the rest if you haven't been working. You can't do it. That's why this commandment is about working and it's about resting. Most of the time we think it's just about resting. And like, okay, the third commandment, go to church, pray, whatever. No, it's about working. Go to the world and work. Go to the world and work. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 12, verse 24, it says, diligent hands will rule, but laziness ends enforced labor. What this is telling us is there's an expectation of us Christians being in high positions. Like, I've had people talk to me, is it a sin that I want a promotion? You're expected to get that promotion as a Christian. You're expected to be like a manager, a CEO. You're expected to be the best of the best because we're the light of the world. Right? So if somebody, like, if I have nothing, like, and somebody says, whoa, like, you're a bum. Like, what happened to you? I go to church every day. I'll make sure not to do that. Right? And then you look at a CEO who has everything, whatever, and then it's like, hey, how did you do this? You think this is important? Like, I have it. But this is not important. God is. I go to church every day. That person is going to say, I want to go to church. If you read any of the Desert Fathers, most of them were kings, like high position people, who had all the money and who gave it up. You didn't find people who had nothing, like that would just like join a monastery. Or it wasn't that common. Most of them were like high officials, like kings and stuff like that, who obtained what the world is seeking for, and then they give it up. What do you think that message is giving? Whatever you're seeking, the rest of you guys, like the rest of the world, whatever you're seeking, we're telling you we have it, and it's not important. See, they're preaching throughout their lives. But if we're just lazy, and we're just sitting down, and we're not accomplishing anything, and we're not being the best version of ourselves throughout the week, then we're not following this commandment. Like, more is expected. Like this whole, you ever heard money is the root of evil? Money is the root of evil. That's not what the Bible says. You know that's a verse from the Bible. But that's not a verse from the Bible. The verse says, for the love of money is the root of all kind of evil. That's the verse of the Bible. This whole thing, like, money is the root of evil. Money is the root of... It's not. Nobody said that. It's not in the Bible. You'll never find it. That's just something like people have been saying over time, taking and switching that. You're supposed to seek money and you're supposed to have money. In fact, the entire book of James, when you guys read the book of James, it's talking about the importance of money. But it's talking about it using it wisely, for giving it to the poor, giving it to the needy. You can't give unless you have something. If you don't have anything, you don't have anything to give. What the book of James is talking about It's the rich people back then. They looked down on the poor people. If you're doing that, you don't understand Christianity. If you think your money is going to give you some type of status, you have like the love of money, which is the root of all kind of evilness. But if you're using it for good, chase the money. Go, get the promotions. Get the money. What are you doing? 6 days. Work, work, work. These days are meant to be working. Yes?
I'm sorry, do you mind telling us the blanks for the first
6 consecutive days. The first one, the second part is to rest. God began creation by working 6 consecutive days. No problem.
Why is my nephew so big?
For those of you who don't know how to put on the dial,
I tried to do
Alright, here's the thing. You guys ready? You guys ready? You guys ready? In the back, the guy with the other weird haircut. You ready?
I'm ready.
Alright. So, the 6 days we said, the 6 days are for working. So that means don't come to church. God doesn't want to see you. Yeah, I said it. The other day I told you I don't like God, and now I'm telling you don't come to church. I think a person is about to get mad at me for telling the story, but I'm going to tell the story. There's a friend of mine who's like very spiritual, young. You know when you're young and you come to the church, like Jesus, you know, like, you know, like you really feel it. Like, I want God now, you know, like at that moment, like nothing is going to stop you, right? You do whatever it takes. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you just like on fire, you ready to go. So a friend of mine was in this stage, and then they were coming to church every single day for Kidon. You guys know what Kidon is? It's the morning prayer. What time does it start? 5 o'clock. 5 a.m. So they would go to church every single day at 5 a.m. at Kidon. It lasts until what, 6:30? Right. Then like they would go to work every single day. I said, that's not spirituality. And we got in a fight. God, Jesus, Kidon. Okay. So what happens? Tell me about the rest of your day. Then I go to work. Then what happens? Then like I have to take a nap for like an hour and a half because I'm tired. Then I go back working. It's not Christianity. You're expected to work. Your boss is thinking that you're working, but you got to take a nap because you've been going to church every single day. That's not Christianity. You're meant to work the 6 days. Like you're meant to work. You're not meant to like give up every single thing and stop all parts of your life and go to God and God and God. If you want to do that, join a monastery. If you want to do that, join like go and become a monk. Don't do that here. Here, the 6 days is meant for God. Does this mean we don't pray? Does this mean we don't look to God? Absolutely not. It's like Mother's Day, right? Mother's Day. Like, we tell our mom that we love her, right, in the morning. Mom, I love you. Thank you for making me breakfast. I miss my mom. What was I saying? So like you tell them, you know, like you let your mom know every now and then, like I love you, mom, like you check in, whatever. But on Mother's Day, that's the day, like that's the day where you tell her that you love her, right? Like you set time apart, like you get the cake or whatever it is, and then you do the things that you do for your mom, especially on that day, because it's the day to recognize your mom. It doesn't mean you can't recognize her any other day, right? You can recognize it throughout the day, throughout the week, whatever, but like, and you should, right? You should recognize everything that your mom does. You can't, like, if your mom does something nice for you, it's not Mother's Day. I can't say thank you. I can't. Like, you won't say that, right? Like, you stop and, like, you recognize. Like, I love you, whatever, right? The same way with God, we check in daily, right? God, I love you. Like, prayer. Like, thank you for doing this for me. Like, check in. Like, read your Bible. Check in, right? But don't put everything aside and then just, like, pursue your spiritual life in the 6 days. That is meant for you to chase this world and be the best version that you could be. That is, you're commanded to work hard. This is a command. You don't have the option of being lazy. Laziness is not, oh, you know I'm lazy. Like, you know. No, it's a command. It's a spiritual commandment to go into the world and work hard. That's what this commandment is about. Until we do that, we can't go into the second half, which is to rest. God wants to see you succeed in this world, and He wants you to succeed in the spiritual world. You don't have a father who's like, just be poor. Just do nothing. Like, we don't have a God who does that. He wants to see you succeed, and we're demanded to succeed. Because by the success of whatever we bring, we're meant to help everybody else. Use the worldly resources to benefit others. Luke chapter 16. If we don't have the resources of this world, we can't benefit others. So, we cannot truly enjoy the rest unless we work during these days. That's the fill in the blank. We cannot truly enjoy the rest unless we work during these days. Like I was saying, sitting down for hours versus sitting down after long hours of staying. So that's the first half. Second half, everybody got it right, is now we talk about resting. Now we talk about resting. So in the first half, we talked about working, right? Where did we get the idea of working from?
What?
From God. Because God worked 6 consecutive days. You understand what I'm saying?
We got the idea for that?
He set the... I can't believe I'm like responding.
That's only.
Absolutely. Yeah, we looked at that in Genesis, right? So like He told him to work, but God Himself set the standard, right? He showed us how, like, why we need to work by working for 6 days. Then He showed us how to rest by resting Himself. Not that He needed rest. God doesn't need rest. It's not like He's like, whoa, man, you know. Like, no, like He doesn't need rest, right? In fact, He says He observed the rest. Meaning, the rest day is here, and He's looking at it. Because that's the day for rest. So it's not that He's resting, He's like observed the rest. That's what they did, right? Like the Jews, they observed the Sabbath. Meaning, like, they recognize it's the rest day. So that's what God is saying. Like, this day is meant for rest, so He's recognizing it. Now, we're going to go a little bit like basic stuff. I'm going to go a little off topic. Sabbath, or like, is it Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
It's a little bit of both.
Why? What's the difference? Why did it change? Yes, sir.
Well, if you work for 6 days straight, can you have a different Sabbath on Saturday?
If you work on Sunday too?
Well, not Sunday, but like, say your Sabbath is on a Friday if you work on Saturday.
What?
Never mind. I'm just saying it's a Sabbath every time on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Does it say?
Well, so it's changed, right? So like,
Yeah, it's changed.
Okay.
Because of, say, like the work situation.
oh, work situation. I see. So if you're forced to work on a Sunday, what do you do? Is basically your question, or a Saturday or whatever. So that's a separate conversation. That's a separate conversation. For example, I think it's in Vegas. Like Sunday is like work day. That's their money, right? They gotta work. So I think they do that's on a Thursday or some weird day. It's like where everybody's like recovering or getting ready or something like that. Yeah.
I'm asking you a question, right?
I don't. You raise your hand. I don't know.
You asked why did it change the Sabbath?
I remember that when Guess That By taught us that for our religion, resurrection happened on Sunday, so that's the time like we rest, something like that.
Rephrase your answer.
Some people do rest.
Rephrase your answer, because he specifically told you not to do that. Don't say it's out by said.
Oh yeah.
So do it again.
I learned.
Yeah. Or this is what it is.
Yeah.
Do it again.
So we learned that it had that we switched the Sabbath to Sunday because for our religion, resurrection happened on a Sunday.
And the good is, right, that's not what it is. And then there was a first day, and then there was a second day, and then there was a third day, right? That's exactly how we do it. Like the first day, second day, and then we go on. That's what the names are in itself, right? The Amariña is a little bit like, you know, Señor, Señor is supposed to be Magista Señor or whatever. But it's really like Salud, Sanui, and Rabu, right? So it talks about like the actual days of what it is. And then we get to Kadami or Kadamit, right? Kadami, meaning before Sanabat, right? Kadami Sambat, right? If you say with Dasya, you would know. Like like the previous Sabbath is what we call Saturday. As he said in the Old Testament, like God rested on the seventh day. Of course, the number 7, what does it represent?
Perfection.
Perfection, right? So if the Sabbath is, yes, you guys are right. So Christ resurrected on Sunday, right? So here's the thing. So if Sunday is after Saturday, technically Sunday is the 8th day, correct? No. No.
Rephrase.
I'm gonna do this again. I know numbers and you guys are not. This is bad. I get it. Alright, we're gonna do a little math. It's okay, everybody. Alright. The 7th day is what day?
Sunday.
The 7th day is what day? Saturday, right? 7th day is Saturday, right? So Sunday technically is then the 8th day, right?
No, it's the first.
Just like I did it.
Monday is not the
How many days are there in a week?
Alright, I'm not talking about weeks. Like everybody listen. I worked hard on this stuff.
On a Sunday?
Alright? We're gonna get through this. I promise. I promise we're gonna get through this. So like so Sunday is like, if you continue it, it's like the 8th day, right? So with like, what does the number 8 represent? We talked about this before. A new beginning, a new perspective. Like in the Ark of Noah, how many people were in the Ark? 8 people, right? 8 means a new beginning, a fresh, like a new outlook, right?
Why you gotta creep through?
She just stayed at the door, so like I don't think we're glad you made it. You want some double? Eat some double and some kids. No, please. Come with it. Okay, sorry. We're gonna get that one. What was I saying?
You're saying the 8 days?
The 8 days renewal. So the fact that our Lord and our Savior Jesus Christ like died and resurrected on a Sunday is not just like it didn't just happen. It's saying it's a new perspective, like a new beginning, a new journey, right? So like a new week is starting, like a fresh start. So God's resurrection is saying it's a new beginning because y'all messed up like in the past. So like now I'm gonna give y'all like a new form of rest, like an eternal rest, a rest that you can't even imagine, a rest that you guys will love. A new beginning, the 8th day. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So now, of course, the Sabbath is, or like for us, the Sabbath will be on Sunday because of this. Does that make sense? Everybody, does that make sense? Yes? Yes? Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. So here, the Sabbath, like we said, is a day of rest. This is literally, we talked about everything that we talked about the first 6 days, right? Like work. You gotta work hard. And then here, he's saying, like, take a vacation. Like, please rest. Like, please. He's begging you. Like, he's, like, asking you to rest. Like, you worked. Yeah, like, work. You should work. But the last day, please take a break. Like, rest. You need your rest. Physically, mentally, spiritually, rest. What's the best form of rest?
Well, you don't say worship.
Like if you wanted to go, if I give you like a lot of money, right? Like to go anywhere in the world and like whatever, travel. What would you do? You probably take someone with you. Most of the time, right? Somebody that hopefully you could tolerate, right? you know what I mean? Like somebody you can. You don't want to take somebody like you can't stand. You're gonna take somebody like you want to be around for as long as whatever you're gonna go, right? So God is saying, let's take a vacation. Come with me. If that thought makes you say, if that thought, like if God is saying, I know you worked hard. Guess what? Like I'm gonna take you out for a nice like date. We're gonna spend the whole day together. And your first thought is, then you gotta reevaluate your relationship with God. Because there's no way you could love him and at the same time say, I don't want to spend time with him. It's impossible. That means like our relationship and our mindset about God is wrong. Like there's something completely wrong with it. I'll give you guys an example. It's gonna be on video, so I'm gonna be in trouble for this. So my brother, when he first started dating his wife, now his girlfriend at the time, Mimi, he was so annoying. Like I couldn't be around him. Cause like anytime I'm like, yo, Beanie, how are you doing? Mimi's great. What about you? I'm like, no, like, come on, man. Like, you want to watch a movie? Mimi does? Should I call her? I'm like, oh my gosh, like this guy is in love, you know? I hated it. It was the worst. Like, it was bad, right? It was horrible. So when you like, especially when you're fresh in love, all you want to do is spend time with the other person, right? Like that's all you want to do. Like, now let's do it. So this mentality is because like you love the person. The same thing with God. Like if I love him and I've been working, this is what I told you. You can't enjoy the rest if you've been working correctly. Right?
If you haven't.
You can't enjoy the work. If you haven't been working correctly. It's been a long day, I apologize. I've been with God. I've been on a vacation. I apologize. So it's impossible, right? So like this is the reason. This is the reason, and we'll get to it. If you you go to church like every single day, right? There will be a time where you break apart. And anybody who's been here for like years will tell you that for a fact. Like if you overdo it, I guarantee there will come a point where you're like, I don't want to see God anymore. I guarantee you it will happen. Those 6 days are reserved for work. Work. Check in with God, pray, read your Bible, but Sunday, that's God's day. Right? Sunday. Like those 6 days, do whatever you gotta do. Work. Don't sleep. Work. But Sunday, we get to spend time with God. We don't have to. We get to. You see? Like it's a vacation. Again, if this thought makes you say like, but like, I'm like tired, then you don't understand what it means to love God. That means we have to take time to reevaluate our relationship with God. Right? Like maybe we need to break up with him. Maybe we need to go on a break. But something needs to change because we're not in a healthy relationship. There's no way you could tell me you love your significant other and at the same breath tell me you don't want to spend time with them. It just doesn't make sense. There's no way you could tell me that you love someone and say, I never want to spend time with them. It just, you're raising your hand. Why are you raising your hand?
Like, I'm gonna ask, I'm being serious. So why are we, it's okay to say, I think, if you want to love God, you should still want to spend this time together and not feel or whatever. But to say, I don't think it's okay to say work as hard as you can 6 days, and then if you're waking up for Kedasi and stuff, look at that as rest, and then be excited for that, and that doesn't make sense to me at all. If you're saying physical, you said physical rest.
It is.
How is that?
Because, again, we have this mindset of thinking Kedasi is stressful. We do.
Not stressful, tiring.
Again, why is it tiring? How much of Kedasi do you really understand?
So physically is what I'm saying.
It doesn't matter. I'm telling you, when you take time to really break down Kedasi apart, you literally go in a different mood. Anybody you do Kedasi, right? How tiring is it to be like the deacon that day? Do you feel it during Kedasi?
Yeah.
No. Why you don't say
before I wake up, obviously, but once the Kedasi starts, you don't. It's like when you're excited for, if you're tired, but when you see something that's exciting, you'll wake up for it, even if you're tired. It's kind of like that.
But then which is exciting, and the excitement is amazing. The love is everything's good. But he's literally sleeping. You have to wake him up after, right? I'm not trying to we can talk about it later.
No. It's refreshing. I'm telling you. More than standing outside and doing Kedasi that you think you're tired of, being the deacon is really physically demanding. Yeah. It's really physically demanding, right? But when you're in it, if you actually get what's happening, right? And you actually are understanding it, as deacons, you got to take the time to learn it, right? When you're in it, you don't, I had 3 hours of sleep today, for example. I'll tell you my example. All right? I was exhausted. I didn't want to get up. But when you're in it, you forget about everything. You're like in a different world.
That's completely fair to say.
After Qadasi, after the day is gone, I'm telling you, you're rewired. You're rewired. You're refreshed in ways that you can't believe. And it takes a mind shift to understand that. It really does. And that's just something like you gotta work on.
I think I know what he's trying to say. Like obviously there'll be those days where you're like literally like pooped, like you can't like get up at all. Those will be those days like where kind of like you do break the commandments. I mean we won't always like he said we won't always have that strong relationship with God, but there'll always be those days where we're just like don't want to really talk to God or be with God. But like I think what he's saying is most of the time you're not. So like it's just your mindset on the Qadasi that makes you.
Okay, so yeah, we can definitely like mindset and stuff. I completely understand, even if like I'm not fully like experiencing it. It's just like confusing to say. Like,
it's refreshing. It's absolutely refreshing. It's the same thing with sa'atat, right? If you do sa'atat the right way, even if like physically it's tiring, physically it's refreshing at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of like a both.
But yeah, what's tiring is if you don't say the Qadasi with while like
you'll be tired.
And I mean, when you say it, you'll get less tired.
Yeah,
it's true.
That's crazy.
No, I think that.
Yeah.
Somebody gotta help me.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I got you. Lydia.
No, I think that, like, for example, like, it is physically tiring. I'm sorry. It's physically tiring. But while you're there, for example, if I'm really tired, I'll sit down, but I wouldn't be able to sleep. Because of, like, you know, like you said, if you really understand what Qadasi is about and you hear, like, the message that's being portrayed, like, you, like, even if you're physically tired, you still want to hear it. You still want to be there. So even afterwards, you kind of, like, that's why I say you feel refreshing. It's like you leave and you're like, oh, like, that was amazing.
I'm always happy, yeah. Even when I'm tired, I'm happy. Like, I'm happy.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I'm not, like, I don't have energy. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, I think what he's saying
Hold on,
is...
listen. Alright, go ahead.
I was gonna say,
I
you
just-
can say.
Listen. She's answering your question.
Okay.
She's telling you how you're wrong.
No. I was gonna say that I do think that it's refreshing, but more in the sense of like your soul, like you're giving your soul that day of rest, and maybe because your soul is rested and refreshed, it overpowers the body and the physical aspect. So it like maybe that can encompass it, but I feel like more like the soul that's getting refreshed.
Go ahead.
I have an analogy like for myself. Like, you know, sometimes like the day before a certain event, like you could have like very little sleep and you could be tired throughout the whole day. But let's say you have a concert later that night, even if you're very tired, you'll still go to the concert and like you could stand for like an hour or two, and like you'll be physically, because your heart is with the concert and because you understand it, just like you're awake. And even after the concert, like, you know, some people like they're energized and they want to go out and do something else. So I think it comes with like, again, as you said, to understand like the Qadasi. If you understand it, that same type of enthusiasm will kind of wake you up even if you're physically drained.
So to tie everything up together, your soul and your body are connected. We don't have two different like things, right? They're one. In fact, it's used as an example of the unity of Christ, right? Like the divinity and the humanity united into one, like our body and our souls united. When you refresh your soul, your body is refreshed. But not in the way that we take it into this world. So the way that you're thinking of rest is getting that 8 hours sleep. Have you ever gotten 8 hours of sleep and still physically been like, I'm lousy? That's what I'm saying. So it's not the same type of refreshment that you're thinking of, and you're trying to bring that into the spirituality. I agree with you. It's a different type of rest. But still, you're getting rest. You're being rewired in a way that you didn't think before. Does that mean that you're not sleepy? No. You could be sleepy. Does that mean like your legs are not shit? No, that's not what I mean. But physically, you're still getting rest because you're being rewired in a new way and getting energy that you didn't think you had before. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I have an off-topic question.
Okay, go for it.
When you said about the unity of your soul and
Hey,
your...
best friend.
Hey, best friend. When you talked about the unity between the two, like, what about people who choose to get cremated?
Wow. Text me these things. Can we edit that out? I'm like, yeah, we gotta go. I can't, I'm not gonna answer that. I'm telling you right now. We're gonna edit that out.
Yeah.
So that's the answer.
Life can't be good.
You just like edit it out in the middle. Alright, let's keep going. Alright. So it also says keep this day holy, right? So obviously, like I'm not gonna go down the list. Observing the Sabbath means reading your Bible. Observing the Bible means coming to church, taking Holy Communion. Kadase is important. Come to church. Like I'm not gonna do that, right? Like you guys know this stuff, right? Like this is the basic. Just keep it holy. Like do righteous things. But here's the thing. For whatever reason, if you can't keep it righteous, don't keep it unholy. Like at least this day. I'm talking about even the it's okay sins. Whatever it may be. Right? So our job this day is to keep it holy, and at least, like, if we can't even keep it holy, if we can't come to church, for whatever reason, if we can't read our Bible, if we can't even pray, at least let's not keep it unholy. I'm talking about, like, the things like profanity. Like, the it's okay stuff that we let go. Like, this is not a day to go to a hookah bar. Right? Like, fine, like you don't come to church. Like, it's not fine, but like it happens, right? Like there are days. Like, this day is not a day to hit a J. Like, it's not. This day is not a day to go on a website where we know we shouldn't be on. This is not a day to like fight with your friends about something of nonsense. This is a day to keep it holy. If we can't keep it holy, at least let's not keep it unholy. Like, let's not keep it unholy. At least. At the very minimum. Because God expects more of us. Now, so we get rest because we're with God. And He takes us to a different world, and we get to see the kingdom of heaven, and we get to be in communion with Him, and we get to just relax and have fun and be at rest. But our job doesn't end there. Our job continues. And we're expected to give the same type of rest that we got to the rest of the world. God always uses people. If we read like the story of, Moses, right? So Moses, crossing the Red Sea, whose glory was shown during that like incident? God's glory. But who was there? Moses. Through Moses, God is using Moses to show His own glory. God always uses people. The same way that He uses us in order to show His glory whenever we provide rest to the rest of the world. We're expected the same type of rest that we get. And think about how like refreshing it is to be with God. Like I said, if we think about it the right way, think how refreshing it is. And then this like feeling that I get, I have to share it with the rest of the world. Matthew chapter 25, verse 41 through 45 says, Then the king will turn to those on the left and say, listen very carefully, away with you, you cursed ones, and to the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his demons. For I was hungry, and you didn't feed me. I was thirsty, and you didn't give me a drink. I was a stranger, and you didn't invite me into your home. I was naked, and you didn't give me clothing. I was sick and in prison, and you didn't visit me. Then they will reply, Lord, when did we ever see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison and not help you? And He will answer, I'll tell you the truth. When you refuse to help the least of these my brothers and sisters, you are refusing to help me. This verse really gets to me. So we talk about days. 6 days meant to work, 1 day of rest. The other part of this commandment, we have to give the rest to the rest of the world. When was the last time you visited a stranger? This is the commandment. This is a commandment. Somebody in prison. When was the last time we gave food to the hungry? When was the last time we gave drinks and stuff to those who are thirsty? This is the commandment. This is what it means to honor the Sabbath. To give these things to the rest of the people. Sunday is reserved for God. Sunday is reserved for giving rest to those who are in need of it. It's not meant for our own. We have 6 days to do that. This is why I said in the beginning, you are not allowed to rest during the 6 days. Whatever you got going on in your personal lives, go and handle it in the 6 days. Sunday is for God. Give it for God. Now I talk to a lot of, I got a few kids here and there that I raised over the years. I've heard all type of excuses for not coming on Sunday. All type of them, right? This guy's the king in the back.
I get an excuse I wouldn't do it.
No, please. So, whenever you I talk to somebody, it's so easy to talk to them and especially when they're young, try to convince them to come to church, right? Even school, I gotta school. Why don't you study on Saturday? Yeah, you're right. And then you win the argument. You know what I mean? So it's done. Then you talk about whatever, and then okay, I got this going on, whatever. But when somebody says family, how do you say no to that, right? I got a family. You can't tell somebody no, Jesus, it's family. It's family. But let's read the Bible. Let's think about this. We have 6 days. We have 6 days that we get to spend with our family. That's part of work, by the way. Right? Your responsibilities at home, you're working. What you're doing for your family, that is working. But Sunday, God wants your time. He gave you time to begin with. He's the one who gave you the gift. He said, that one, I want back. And the last day, I want back. I want it. And I want it because you have stuff to do for the rest of the world. There are people who are forgotten about. There are people who need your rest. There are people who want to hear the glory of God. And they're going to hear the glory of God. But I want it to be you. I want you to be the vessel that I'm choosing in order to show the glory of God. You know how great that is? It's not like God doesn't have people to use. He wants to use you specifically to be the vessel that He's going to transport His message with. That's amazing. That's amazing. Sunday is Sunday. Sunday is Sunday. Having said this, when you're hearing this message, again, if you're something is wrong. You know why it's wrong? God is not here to give you burden. God is never a God that wants you to feel I gotta do this and I gotta do that. Christianity, why did I sign up for this? So God is not this type of God, right? So there's certain places, certain situations, every family is different, every scenario is different, everything is different. So if you're in a place and you know the truth, you know within your heart, where family could be very serious. I'll give you guys 2 examples. Once upon a time, Mimi, my brother's wife, graduated from medical school. Smart girl. I would never achieve these types of things. It's not for me. So when she graduated, they live in North Carolina. So that's where my mom is. So for the graduation, and what made things worse is a whole bunch of people in the back. They went to North Carolina for the graduation. It wasn't just the family, whatever. It was a huge event. It was just a big success, she was doing big things. So here, and then there's me, who is I got a goodness class on Saturday. And I'm so she's graduating from medical school. This is huge. This is big. Huge, right? So I'm all right, what do I do? And I decided to skip out on the graduation. I went to North Carolina. Oh my goodness. So I went done to the graduation on Friday, and then early Saturday morning, before anybody woke up, I drove back to DC for graduation. You know what happened? I get here, the class is canceled. You know what else happened? It was my birthday. You know how many text messages you are a horrible human being. We hate you. I'm what a birthday. Birthday to remember. Did I bring honor to God? Is that honor to God? No, absolutely not. How many people are cursing me out? A lot of people. Like a lot of people. Like everybody. They were like, whatever church he goes to, this church think that he's doing. Like that's not bringing honor to God. You know what I mean? So this is not the way to do it. Like if you are leaving your like when your family is like, come on, like we're having a thing, and you're like, but Jesus needs me, and then you leave. That's God would never want you to do that. That's not the purpose of God.
Why did you?
I was young and stupid. I'm admitting, I was young and stupid. I was at the God stage, you know, like that's not look. Spirituality is not about being emotional.
How long ago was it? Mentally stable.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I've done a lot of crazy things. So the point of spirituality is to have like a long-term relationship with God. You're in a long-term relationship, right? So if you have a thing with your family, and like your mom is saying, like, hey, like I need you today. No, God, Sabbath. Like that attitude, that mentality is not spirituality. Like you don't come to the church because God is not going to listen to your prayer, right? Even on a Sunday. Even on a Sunday. I am.
He won't listen to you.
He won't, because the next part, right? So in 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8, anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially for their own household, has denied that faith and is worse than an unbeliever. You have a responsibility to your family. But by all means, are you guys listening to me? By all means, the Sabbath is meant for God. The Sabbath is meant for like doing all the things written here. But if your family needs you, like, don't be emotional. Yeah, try to work around it. Yeah, try to talk to them. Yeah, try to explain to them. But then use your judgment, right? Like there's no formula for these things. Like every single scenario is different. Like use your head, right? So if you're finding yourself every single Sunday, like you're going to an uncle so-and-so's house, auntie so-and-so's house, and you're finding yourself in that cycle, then you got to rework some stuff. Sunday is supposed to be reserved for God, right? Especially when there are things happening and there are like things that need to be done, and you're like kind of sacrificing that in order to like, okay, family, then you need to kind of rework and restructure your stuff. Yeah.
What were the last two fill-in the blanks?
He gave you an entire day where you get to spend it with God. This day is also a day where we give others rest.
Wait,
Will you give others rest?
what's the second one?
Why are you putting the place
He gave you an entire day where you get to spend it with God. This day is also a day where we give others rest.
Right. We give others?
We give others rest.
You should do like one word there.
That's a bad
It's
change.
a lot of writing.
Kaya nakikitukan ang tawag na.
They're better teachers.
I swear that kind of my classes. What was I saying?
You were saying.
Before you rudely interrupted.
Family.
You're in the middle of.
Oh yeah, don't
Don't
betray like a Sabbath.
Don't betray your
You don't provide for your relatives.
You get it.
Oh, so with the family, right? So like when you go to your family, make sure that so your priority again is like, especially there are things to like get done on Sunday, whatever, like Bible study and stuff like that. And your family like come out. Like use your judgment, right? Use your judgment. Second, have a conversation with them. Like talk to them. First time I went, like for Christmas, I went to like New Jersey for a service or something. My dad was upset. He was like, "Man, I didn't know about it." You know, he was angry. Nowadays, I don't remember the last time I spent a holiday with my family. Service, like I'm traveling, whatever, I'm going somewhere, whatever. So my dad is, "Where are you at for next summer?" You know, like, because he knows, like, it's because we've gotten to an agreement. This is my lifestyle. This is how I live. Like we're in agreement. You see, like with love, with peace, right? So you can sit down and talk to your family, and then like try to figure out, like, can you do the family gatherings for Saturdays, right? Like try to figure stuff out. And if not, do your best to bring God at the center of your family meetings. My uncle, he's like, fairly old. The whole family is Orthodox. They all believe in God. But on Sunday is a day where you kind of, like after church, you just sit down and watch TV like most of us do. My uncle said, no, not anymore. We're going to do family prayer. You started in, everybody's Orthodox in the house. Like, every family is different, and I get that. You have to be mindful of that, right? But like, in whatever family that you personally have, figure out a way to bring Christ into the center and like glorify Him. Having said that, your family is also the rest of the world. Are you guys listening to me? Like, this stuff, Matthew chapter 25, verse 41 through 45, it's very serious. It's very serious. Because this is how we get tested. You know, like every single time we talk about like, what does God care about and stuff, we talk about it's not traditions, it's not even the nakala, it's not like whatever. You know what He's going to ask us? These are the questions, right here. This is it. Like, did you feed me? Like, did you give me water? This is like what's going to be on the final exam when you appear before Christ. This is what He cares about. How much time are we putting in order to visit others and give them rest? We'll end it on this note. True story. Last week, we decided, were you there?
No.
Were you there? Nati wasn't there? You skipped out on the spiritual experience? Okay. You were there. I remember you were there. I can't remember who else was here. So, we decided to go and visit a brother, a sick brother. You were there. A sad situation. So the story is, a few years back, I think his mom passed away, and he was gonna try to commit suicide, and he jumped off a building, but he ended up being paralyzed from the neck down. I think like his hand kind of moves, and that's it. Like, and he's been in this state for the past 4 years. Very sad story. So as Abai took the initiative, like contacting him, he told me about the story about like 2 months ago. This is a true story. And he told me about the story about like 2 months ago, and he said, you know, we should go and visit him. I'm like, yeah, we should. Now here's the thing. Anybody who knows me knows I'm very awkward. Like socially, I'm extremely awkward. I'm extremely awkward in awkward situations. Like, I'm already awkward. But I'm extremely awkward in awkward situations. Like, I don't know what to say, like I get nervous, like, you know, like, whatever, right? So, like, I'm an introvert, too. So, like, around people, like, I can't. Like, I could do one-on-ones, but, like, more than that, like, in public settings, and I can't. I really can't. Like, I get nervous and I get tired, like, no, I'm serious. No. That is true. Like, I really can't. Like, and last week, like, I had this paper, I was like 30 days overdue, I had a whole bunch of stuff due, and I'm like, ugh, like, I really don't want to go. So I'm like, everybody love each other, bye. So, and then Abai like, so are you going to go and share that love? And I was like, no. And Abai gave me the look. And I was like, I can't fight with a priest on a Sunday. You know, like, I was like, oh, now I got to go, like, it's going to be awkward and stuff. So, so we get together, we're like 6, 7 people, right? And I told him, I was like, man, I got this paper. He's like, we're going to go for like 30 minutes. 30 minutes, right? I was like, all right.
That's where you from.
So I was like, I'll go. It's going to be awkward. Like, I already know it. Like, again, I'm very awkward. Like, it's weird. So we go there, and it's like, there's a hospital feel to it, right? Like, you feel like you're in a hospital. That's worse. Like, that's really bad. So I'm like getting nervous. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. And then we go. So like all I know is the story. Like, okay, the guy is paralyzed. And like, so we go into the room, and then I see the awkwardness is starting because people start going up to him, and some people go for an awkward handshake. Other people go for an awkward hug. Like they, you know, like it's like, and I'm like, so what do I do? Like a shake or a hug? Like what do I do? And then. Like, so it's my turn, and I'm like, all right, like, what do I do? And then I go there, and I'm like, hey, and then he goes, hey, David. I'm like, hey, you? I have no idea who this is. And I'm like, hi, man, it's you. And then, like, now it's extremely awkward, right? Like, now, like, I don't know what to say. So I'm like, hey, how's it been? And we're talking and stuff. And then, like, as I'm talking to him, I remember him. It turns out this kid was in our class. like 4, 5, 6 years ago, right? He was in my class, like he was apparently like, you know, not around your batch, but he's maybe a little bit older, right? He's a little bit older. So like he was, I remembered him and I was talking and stuff. And then by the time, so when we walked in, it was kind of like very heavy. It was very heavy, right? Nobody knew what to say. You could tell by his demeanor, like, you know, something. By the time we left, he was laughing. He was cheered up. I was making fun of his name, and like he was making fun of my name, like as everybody does, and like we were kind of like going back and forth, and then kind of felt like preaching a little bit on the name of Jesus. So like I'm like doing my thing, and I'm talking to him, and we exchange numbers, and that was 30 minutes. That was 30 minutes. Here I am with my busy schedule, right? I can't go. Like I would have 30 minutes. Here's this guy who needs rest. Ironically, resting on a bed that most people get rest in. But for him, he's lost rest. He needs rest. His rest is us. Hope. Here's a guy, maybe like 27, 28 years old, who has nobody around him. This is it. For us, we have 30 minutes. I don't care how busy you are. I don't care what kind of family you have. I don't care what kind of job you have. I don't care how many classes you take. You have 30 minutes to provide rest. This kid's, his entire like demeanor changed by the time we left. Like his whole like the way he was talking, the way he was acting, everything changed in 30 minutes. I'm a witness of that. This is the purpose of Sunday. Think about like what you like, okay, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do. You have 30 minutes. We all have 30 minutes. I don't know. We have decided once every 2 months, we're gonna go and visit him. I don't know what you guys are about to do. But we need to get into the habit of visiting the sick. You don't have to know them. You don't have to whatever. Just go and do me something nice. Volunteering at like a shelter. Giving back to the community. This is what honoring the Sabbath is really about. It's not just about like coming to the church, praying and going home. It's about offering rest to those who are in need of it. What's about to look at? Now we'll go to the next section.
Alright. So for those of you guys, it's your first time here, so after Dawi goes, either myself or Sion will come up and just kind of try to tie it all together and kind of try to relate it to our life and, you know, our day-to-day stuff and try to focus on something that he hasn't touched on. But even though he just did. Yes. Alright. Trying to time myself because they said I had 5 minutes. Alright, Exodus 20 verses 8 through 11. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath to the Lord your God. Alright, so what is holy? Like I said, you know, keep the Sabbath holy. What's the definition of holy? Raise your hands. What is holy? Separated.
Sacred.
Sacred. Who can make things holy? God. So God made things holy, right? Right?
Yes.
So the Sabbath day, Sunday, that, you know, like we just talked about, it should be sacred. It should be different. It shouldn't be like just any other day. It shouldn't be like a Monday. It shouldn't be like a Tuesday. Sunday is something that God Himself sanctified and, you know, said that was going to be separate. Like it shouldn't be like just like any other day. So it's a special day and should be different from any other days. It's put aside the cares and the responsibility of the week to strengthen our relationship with Him. So the Sabbath day, when you look at it, it's a gift that God gave us, right? It's a gift for us, and we have the choice whether to keep it holy, keep it very different from any other day, or make it unholy, right? By doing just like what we've been doing Monday through Saturday. So they have two choices. So what I'm going to try to focus on is two things, going to be real quick, and say how do we make it holy. So we honor the Sabbath. The first thing is by keeping it holy by gathering in the church. I know earlier we talked about, do we have to come to church, right? Let's rest. We're supposed to be resting. We're tired. Say like it's early in the morning. Why do we have to come? Watch a Q&A video on YouTube. It talks about why we should come at 6 in the morning. So Leviticus chapter 23 verses 1 through 3 talks about how we can honor the Sabbath. It says, God tells the Israelites, the Lord said to Moses, give the following instruction to the people of Israel. These are the Lord's appointed festivals, which you are to proclaim as official days for the holy assembly. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath day of complete rest. Okay, an official day for holy assembly. It is the Lord's Sabbath day, and it must be observed whatever you do. So in Leviticus, God is telling the Israelites the Sabbath day is for us to have a holy assembly. What do we do every Sunday in the morning when we go to church? It's a holy assembly, right? So that's how we keep it holy. That's why we come to church, to Kadass. Yeah. All right, so that's the Old Testament, right? So how about the New Testament, right? The New Testament also talks about what the apostles did on the Sabbath day. In Acts chapter 17, verse 2, St. Paul says, as it was his custom, Paul went into the synagogue, and on the 3rd Sabbath day he reasoned with them from the scriptures, explaining and proving that the Messiah had to suffer and rise from the dead. This Jesus I am proclaiming to you is the Messiah, he said. So what is St. Paul saying? He's preaching. He's having a reasoning with them, right? So what happened? What do we do here? Isn't that what we do during Bible study? Isn't that what we do? Reason with each other. Hey, y'all argues with David, and David yells back, and isn't that so? Bible study, right? Here is St. Paul talking about proclaiming Messiah to be, the Savior. So by keeping the Sabbath, also so we talked about how we keep the Sabbath holy. Making it different, coming to church, right? But then we also get something out of it. Every Sunday, we proclaim the first commandment, right? Dada, do you want to say the... so every Sunday, when you come to Kadase, there's a part, we always start with this part. It's part of Kadase, huh? Sundays, for the Sunday part. There's other sayings for other days, but for Sunday, you say this.
ጻድቅ ውእቱ ወዘያከብር ሰንበተ.
Everybody heard that before?
Yeah.
So what are we saying? Rose, you what are we saying?
She knows it.
Isn't that like when we're in the church, don't assume that you're traveling away from. That's the other one.
That's the other one. Rosie, anybody? So that first part that I just said is talking about how blessed is he who does righteous thing, and blessed is he who keeps the Sabbath. So we proclaim that every Sunday morning, right? So when you keep the Sabbath holy, right, we're receiving a blessing. And Dawi talked about how Matthew, and I had that example, the same example as well. Like when we bless others, so when we do righteous things, when we keep this day, the Sabbath, holy, we're receiving a blessing. So keep in mind the Sabbath. It wasn't, the Sabbath was made for us. In Mark chapter 2, verse 27, it says, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So the Sabbath is a day for us. It's a day that we receive blessing. It's a day that God gave us to rest and to spend time with Him. So always keep that in mind on Sundays when we always, it's not easy waking up 6 in the morning, but we all been there. But the more you get closer to God, the more you learn what God says, the more you get into the church, it doesn't matter. Spending, all day in church, we go to church, we come to Bible study, it's a long day. But you know what? We're receiving the blessing by being here. So it's what? Who does a good work? Yeah. Blessed to see who does righteous things, and blessed to see who honors the Sabbath.
He was busy talking, that's why.
I don't know. She's back. I'm back.